Hey folks, welcome back. This is Joel, and we will continue with our discussion on Firepower. And in this video, we'll talk about site-to-site VPNs. Right now, I think the last video in this series was on policies, if I'm not wrong, and we did a little bit of fun stuff around access policies. I really did not find time to record much around malware and intrusion and file policies, but probably if I get some time in future, maybe I'll do a couple of videos there. Yeah, I've been playing around with the VPN, so let's get around and do some site-to-site VPN in this video, right? So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing the VPN between the branch FTD, right, and my HA1, which is here, right, between these both guys, right? So that's what we'll be getting into. Now, just to give you a recap, right, our branch FTD is managed by FDM, right, the on-box FDM, whereas our campus or the headquarters FTD is managed by FMC. So you'll basically get to see both the flavors in this particular configuration, right? On one side, we'll be doing it using FDM. On the other side, we'll be doing using FMC. All right, so let's jump on to my FDM, I guess. So let's see. So this one looks good. Let me also get my FMC meanwhile up, right? So all right, so this is my FDM, and you can roll back to the probably first or second video in the whole series where I kind of give you a glimpse of how you can do your basic configuration using FDM. Now we'll be doing the site-to-site VPN, right? So for site-to-site VPN, you gotta come down and you see there is an option here, view configuration, gotta click on that. Right now there is no VPN, so you see this. Let's click on the first VPN, right? Let's create the first one. Now we'll have to give a name. What name do we give, right? Again, I'm not gonna explain what VPN is and how the whole phase 1, phase 2 and IKV1, V2 works, because all of that I've covered extensively in my older VPN videos. We have also covered VPN a bit in ASA as well. You can go back and check my channel, right? But that being said, let's concentrate on the site-to-site VPN in this one. So it's going to be from where? VPN to the headquarters, right? Let's give that as the name, because right now I'm on my branch device, right? So that's going to be the name. The name can be anything. It's just a profile name, like locally significant. What is the interface where we will, what will be the terminating point, or where this VPN is going to terminate, and that's going to be our outside interface, right? This is the one. Let me show you the diagram. So the outside interface, which is gigabit 0/0, right? So in this gigabit 0/0 is the outside one, and 0/1 is the inside interface of that FTD. Cool. So that's done outside. And what will be the local network? Basically we are trying to tell what traffic has to be encrypted and sent over the VPN, right? What traffic has to be tunneled through. So for that, you have to define. In our case, if you look at my diagram, what is the network? It is 192.168.45.0, and I don't see that network, so we'll probably have to create a new object here, right? So let's call this as branch LAN, probably. Make sense? The network is 192.168.45, I believe. Is it 45? Let's quickly check. Here, 192.168.45.0. Yep, that's true. So 45.0/24 is the subnet. I think we are good. So let's say OK over there, right? Yeah, so we can go and select that guy over here. I'm gonna say OK. And what is a remote IP address, right? The remote IP address is basically where the tunnel is going to terminate, and that's going to be this one, Ethernet 2/0, right? This is actually the switch, but actually it's going to be gigabit 0/0 of my FTD over here, and that's nothing but 192.0.2.1, right? So that's basically what. I mean, don't think about these IP addresses mentioned over here at the switch. I mean, the switch is just a L2 device. These IP addresses are actually on the on your Firepower, right? The gigabit 0/0 is this .1. The 0/1 is nothing but I think it's .254 and some. So basically, yeah, I've just mentioned it over here, but they actually mean that those IPs are here on the FTD. Anyway, so let's get back. And let's mention the terminating point. I think this is the one, right? So it's going to be 192.0.2.1. So that's where we are going to terminate. This is the FTD, HA1 FTD. Sweet. Now, what is the remote networks where we want the VPN to work, or the networks to kind of like where we want the traffic to be encrypted, right? So we have mentioned the local network. What is the remote network? So remote network, let's maybe put the DMZ and the server network, right? So let's do that. So we'll have to again create the same thing. We don't have the network objects, so we'll have to create it, right? Let's create the first one. Let's call this as HQ-DMZ, right? And the network is going to be 192.168.10/.0, I believe, right? 10 network/24. That looks good. Meanwhile, let's also create one more for the servers, right, which I showed there. So this is the headquarters, but this is, sorry, headquarters and servers. And what is the network? 192.168.20.0. It's 20 or 2.0. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's 20.0, right? So 20.0/24 makes sense. All right, we're going to say okay over there. Okay, so now we'll select both these guys and we're going to say okay here. So we've got the we've got both the DMZ and the servers put up there, so I think we are good. So we can say next. You see this brightens up here. So we have configured the green part, we have configured this green part. Now we need to put in some attributes of the VPN itself, right? When I say attributes, we have to tell, do you want to use IK V1 or V2? Let's use V2. Now even in V2 you need to mention the phase 1, phase 2 IPsec proposal, and basically the various encryption which you're going to use, the hashing algorithm and all of that, right? So that's important. So let's start with the first one, the policy, right? The IK policy. For that, let's use the default one, right? We'll have to remember this because we'll have to do the same thing on the other side as well. We are using the SHA, -SHA over here. So let's say it's good. Encryption is done. We'll have to also do the same thing on IPsec proposal. Right now there is nothing. So let's click on this and probably use the default set, which is again -SHA, right? For phase 2 as well. We'll have to select that guy, I guess. Okay. Okay, we click on that and we will say okay. So that looks good. So we've selected the -SHA. We're going to select okay here, right? Both of these guys are done. So we've selected, are we good here? So looks good. So right, we have selected the, okay, we'll have to next go with the PSK or certificate. Remember again, when you're doing VPN, the authentication part, you can either go for pre-shared key or you can go for a CA authority and let the RSA take care of it, right? Basically public key, private key. Let's go with the PSK in this one. It's simple, but if you want a scalable solution, always go for a certificate authority. In our case, let's put in some PSK, something simple like Cisco. Okay, give me Cisco 123. I think that should work. Let's try again here as well. All right, that's done. So once that is done, the advanced option, the NAT exempt. I don't think we've got anything NATing here, so we are good here. So let's select next. Sweet. So that looks good, and we'll have to review here, right? Whatever we configured till now, everything will appear here, and looks good for now. Just remember this one, the DES, because we'll have to do the same thing on the other one as well, right? So we'll say finish. And now the policy is getting cooked in the background. All right, so there you go. The policy is done and we have created the policy, but are we ready to deploy already? Probably not. Why? Because we have to also create, we have created, the site-to-site VPN, but we haven't created a policy. Why do we need policy? Because we need to tell the firewall to allow the traffic to flow through, right? For this particular VPN. So right now there is no policy rules, and by default you see everything is blocked. So we'll have to create a new access rule. And we could give any name. Let's go with something like VPN traffic, right? VPN traffic to headquarters. Makes sense. And the default, the action is going to be allow. You'll have to select the networks here. Let's select our branch LAN, right? And on the remote networks, right, we'll have to select the two networks where we want the VPN to work. One is your DMZ and the other one is your servers. So select both of them. And yeah, I think that's good. I've not tried this. What is the show diagram? This is pretty cool, right? It's very intuitive over here. You're getting all the information. Anyway, so that's good. So let's go on, click on OK here. And now once this is done, we can go and click deploy, right? Because we are good with everything. So now we can click the deploy here, right? So this is all it's going to push, right? You can have a look at the configs as well. It's going to push some bunch of VPN related stuff here, which is fine. Let's say deploy now, and we'll say okay, right? So we'll let it do its job. Meanwhile, let's go to the FTD because we got to do the VPN configuration on the other side as well. So let's select that. I think in the topology I've just turned on FTD1. I've not turned on FTD2 because we'll not be using it in this one, right? So we are good to go to this guy, right? So let's wait for the login to finish. Meanwhile, this is happening. Let's see, is it still? Yeah, the deployment is in progress. Cool. So this is where we are right now. Let's go to our devices just to show you what do we have. I've broken the HA, right, which I had configured in the, I think probably third or fourth video in the series. I'm no longer using the HA. I've broken it. I've turned off the FTD2 and I just have FTD1 running right now. Seems to me there are a couple of errors. Okay, CPU usage, that's fine. Application heartbeat is not sending. Alright, that should be good. Cool, not an issue. Anyway, so let's go with the site to site VPN. So we go down to devices and there should be VPN. Yeah, there you go. And we'll click on site to site here. Right. So here, as we have done till now, we are not going to use Firepower because that's for your classic devices or your Firepower 9000 devices, right? We're going to use FTD, Firepower Threat Defense device, right? So here, this is how you got to configure here, right? So start with the topology name and we'll say VPN to branch maybe, right? The name doesn't matter, you can give any name. You have multiple options. You can go for full mesh, you can do hub and spoke like your DM VPN kind of a setup. We'll go for something simple, which is point to point, right? We don't want a multi-point. If you want multi-point, then you'll have to go for hub and spoke or a full mesh as well. So yeah, we'll go with IKV2 because that's what we have done on the other side. And here we'll have to select the node A, right? Because that's where the VPN is originating. That is for FTD1 or HA1, right? So let's click on that. Here you can select, we'll select HA1 here because that's the device. And the interface, obviously the interface what I want the VPN to originate or terminate is Ethernet, basically gigabit 0/0, right? The outside interface. So we will go with that guy. Bidirectional is fine, and you'll have to create the subnets here. Now again here probably we might not have, so we'll have to create this again. So let's create the two networks which are headquarters DMZ, right? So sorry, where did I type that? My bad. Let's do that again. Headquarters DMZ is good, and we would need the network in this case to be selected over there. What network is it? I believe, let's go back to my diagram. 192.168.10.0, 92.168.10.0/24. All right, looks good. We'll say save. While we are here, let's create one more as well, which is your headquarters for servers. Sweet. And network 192.168.20.0/24. Right, save that guy as well. Okay, now we'll have to select both the guys, add it, say okay over here, right? So we've selected the network. I think all of that is done. We are good, so we're gonna say okay. There you go, right? The first node is already selected and done. Let's do the second node now. What is my second node? Obviously my FTD branch. So but then you see there is no FTD branch, so you'll have to select extranet, right? Because this is a unmanaged device, right? Or basically at least it's a device not managed by my FMC, so it comes under extranet, right? And here you can give some name. You can say FTD branch, right? Because that's the device with which you wanna create. This is your VPN peer, right? So yeah, you'll have to give the static IP, which is 198 something. Let's see, it's 198.51.101.1. Okay, 50 and 88, 198.51.100.1. Sweet, looks good. And obviously, just like how we did earlier, we'll have to provide the remote subnet here, which is the branch LAN. I don't think it is there. We'll have to create it. So we'll create branch LAN, right? And the network, which is I think 192.168.45.0/24, right? Just to double check, 45.0/24. Yes, that's correct. Sweet. So that looks good. So we are good to go and save this one. Let's select this guy, add it here, say OK, right? This looks good. Extranet, FTD branch, the IP looks good. All of this is good. So let's say OK here, right? Are we ready to hit the save? I think we are. Or maybe we can go and do something else. Let's finish off the rest of the stuff as well. So on the IKE part, right? Here we'll have to select the IKE parameters, right? We are using IKE 2, yes, but then along with that, we'll have to change the IKE policy. What did we use there? I think we used the -SHA, right? The pre-shared manual key, I believe we have used the manual key here. So let's use the same key, Cisco 123, right? There you go, that's good. And one more thing would be to finish the IPsec part. So what do we do in the IPsec part? In the IPsec part, you will have to put the proposal, right? So here you go. We've got, I mean, the default itself is using -SHA-1, right? If you want to change, you can change. But looks like by default, already we are using the -SHA-1, which is exactly what we want. But you are free to create your own proposals or use any of the default ones as well, right? So that is already selected for us. So I'm happy with that. And I don't have to do any other changes here, so let's keep it as is. What about advanced? Yeah, we are going to retain all of this, so we're going to save this one, right? So that looks good. So can we go and deploy it now? I think we can. We have saved it, so I think it's time to go and deploy it. This is the last part of the configuration, right? Because there is nothing else. We have done the so we'll deploy it on HA1, obviously. Let's deploy. Yeah, so we have done the configuration now on both my branch as well as on this one. So it's telling something is depreciated, warning to are considered insecure, and please remove the depreciated group. That's fine. I mean, it's basically telling might be insecure. It's just a warning, so I think we should be good. Right, so there are no pending changes on this side. Looks like here also it's completed. Right, so while this is happening, let's quickly jump onto the FTD branch 1 and see some configurations, because here the deployment has completed, so we should have some configs pushed in, right? So show running, I think we'll have to do crypto and IKE v2. Okay, there you go. Sorry, IKE v2. Okay, there you go. So now there you go. This is the configuration which we just now pushed, right? You can see the IKE policy, the key in encryption, the hashing, and the key. All of that has been pushed. So that's good. We can also probably check show running config crypto. My bad. Okay. So crypto probably IPsec, I guess. Yeah. There you go. So that looks good as well, right? So we've got. This is the phase 2 part which has gone in, and we can also do show running config and crypto map, right? That's like one of the most common thing, right? Crypto map under the interfaces. So let's do that, and yeah, there you go. See, you can see the peer 192.0.2.1. So that looks good. So yeah, looks good for me. So that's good. Let's go and check what's happening on the other side. looks like okay, so it's still in progress. Meanwhile, let's probably grab our so I've already, so this is the PC which we'll use to test. So this is the branch PC, right, using which we'll be testing our VPN. So yeah, we'll do that. All right, so we can quickly test it. There's one small issue I ran into, but I'll explain that to you once I show you the encryption happening, right? So let's do that. So let's go to this branch device, and from this branch device, right, let's ping this server which is here, right, 192.168.20. Let's see, I think it's 20.22 probably, I'm not sure. Let's check that. It's probably, yeah, it's 192.168.20.22. So we got to ping that one. I've also enabled wire capture here, over here, right, on this outside interface, so that we can see the packets getting encrypted. So we should be able to see that as well, right? So let's get to the bottom over here. Yeah, there you go. So right now you can see there is some ISACAM going in because I pinged earlier, so that's why. But anyway, so let's try to test it now. So let's do ping 192.168.20.24. Wait, I forgot again. Was it 24 or 22? 22, sorry. So let's say 22, right? See, the ping is working. At the same time, if you see the packets here, you can see the ESP packet, and you can see the encapsulation. ESP basically is nothing but your, it basically means that it's encrypting your packet, right? So that is mainly what I wanted to show. Maybe we can also check, there should be some ISACAM, packets getting exchanged as well. Right, I don't know if I can directly search here. ISACAM probably, right? Yeah, there you go, right? So you see ISACAM packets running between my 192.0.2.1, which is my FTD HA1, and 198.51.101, which is my branch FTD, right? And you can see the ISACAM packets here. And your IPsec, that probably won't work, but that's fine. We just now saw here at the bottom, right, or maybe we can run one more ping if you want to see the ESP packets again, right? We could do that. See, the ping is going in, and you should see the ESP packets here, right? So the ESP packets basically are nothing but your encrypted packets, right? So right now, though we are doing a ping, you don't see anything because all the packets are getting encrypted and it's being sent. Sweet. So that's from this side. Now let me also show you some show commands to help you with troubleshooting this. So let me just grab this guy and push it on the other side, and let's run some show commands, shall we? So if you run something like show crypto IKv2 SA, right, the security association, right, you are getting to see the IK or the phase one kind of the security association over here, right? You see that the originator, the tunnel, both the tunnel IPs are shown here, the tunnel source and destination. You can also see show crypto, or maybe let's do, I think there's a command called show VPN. These are all troubleshooting commands, right? You can use this. So VPN detail, I think L2L. Yeah. So this will also give you information about, the IPsec information, right? The local address, the remote address, the tunnel, how long it has been, and when is the next rekey going to happen. You can see the packets, the transmitted and the received packets as well. And maybe for phase 2, you can do show crypto IPsec SA, right? And that will give you another load of information as well, right? So these are your troubleshooting commands. So we basically verified that the VPN is working. Now one thing, let me just call out here, is that when I tried it for the first time, it did not work because I had made a small blunder, or at least in the new release, right, whichever release we are running, the 6.6, I think what they have done is, let me show you, let's go to the edit option here, and let's go to the next, right? So here on your phase 1, right, on the phase 1 side, make sure, so the default one was not working because the default one seems to have some Diffie-Hellman groups which are depreciated. So I had to create a new one, right? So I had to create a new a desc new. So what this desc new is having is, I don't know, can I show you. Yeah, see, this is what the new IKE policy which I had to create. I had to basically remove those depreciated Diffie Hellman groups, right? So I went and removed the depreciated ones and I added these ones, right? So remember, we got those errors when we were deploying it on the FTD2. So those errors, basically you shouldn't ignore them. Make sure that you don't use any depreciated Diffie Hellman groups, because if you use them, then both the FTDs will not form the IPsec tunnels, and the packets will not get encrypted, and basically there won't be connectivity. So you have to do the same thing on both the sides. I did the same thing here as well, right? So, or maybe if I show you the objects here, let me just refresh this. So on the other side as well, for phase 1, I went and replaced the default DES which was there, right? So I replaced it with, let's go down here on the, let's go to the IKE policy, right? So this is the new one which I created, and if you see this one, you will see that I would have used the Diffie Hellman group, and I did not use 1, 2, 5 and 24, and I used these other groups, right? So yeah, make sure to do that if your connectivity is not established. Sweet. So thanks a lot, guys. That was the whole thing which I wanted to show here. Now we have successfully achieved site-to-site VPN between my FTD branch and FTD HA, or basically between my branch sites and my campus site, right? Thanks for watching. Have a good one.